political prosecutions by way of political persecutions. There is a new one. So, shoot, sorry, no, Glenn, not this one. This is not the right. Yeah, that's good. We're not allowed to talk about the other one. That was totally justified. Rachel Maddow and everybody on MSNBC told me that was 100% legit. But this, on the other hand, this is a political persecution, which is leading to a political prosecution. Someone named Kat Abughazaleh, and I honest to God think I'm pronouncing that correctly, was arrested and indicted on federal charges, not because she was doing anything illegal, but because she has a particular political belief that does not agree with the White House. That is the only reason she was arrested and indicted, according to her and all of the other libs on social media. She even came out and said so herself. Here is her very briefly stating what happened to her. Again, a blatant and utter political prosecution at the hands of the king that we don't have. Watch this.
My name is Kat Abughazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois. And the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center.
That is so horrible and disgusting and definitely happening. That is all she was doing. She was just voicing her opinion. Now, those MAGA right-wing extremists at the New York Post reported it a little bit differently. Let me read you that. Kat Abughazaleh, formerly employed by the liberal watchdog Media Matters, was indicted along with 4 others charged with having conspired to prevent by force, intimidation, and threat federal law enforcement officers for carrying out the official duties in a manner seeking to injure him or his personal property. Again, that is not what happened. Clearly, she was just stating her political opinion, which is protected by the First Amendment. Gosh. Abughazaleh and her alleged co-conspirators physically hindered and impeded. Well, that actually would be illegal. If what they're claiming is true. But clearly this is just a MAGA right-wing rag that is spouting the administration's talking points. I can't believe that this is happening, especially to a person that moved specifically to a congressional district in order to run for Congress. Yes, by the way, Kat Abughazaleh is running for Congress in the state of Illinois, a place where she just moved to last summer in order to run for this congressional seat that is, by the way, a very, very deep blue seat. Libs have held this seat for a very long time by pretty huge margins. Actually, according to the Evanston Roundtable, she still doesn't even live in the district. She just moved to the state and is carpetbagging supposedly from somewhere else. But like I said, this is clearly a political prosecution at the highest level. The only reason she was arrested and indicted was for her political beliefs, not for any other reason regarding breaking the law. Let me show you an example of her just espousing her political beliefs peacefully on the sidewalk, not blocking traffic. Go ahead and play cut 3 here.
Up with liberation!
Hold on.
With deportation! Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down with deportation!
Down with deportation!
With liberation!
You know what? I feel like I'm being misled here. That looked like her and a bunch of people trying to block a car, which is not okay. I don't. There must be other footage out there of her just peacefully protesting. Again, like I said, that seems like a little bit more than that, which maybe would actually warrant some investigation, maybe even an indictment for, blocking traffic, possibly even trying to kidnap that particular individual. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go with another couple examples here, because I have to believe that she was just on the sidewalk with a sign and a megaphone talking about her beliefs and her ideas. Go ahead and play cut 4. No, I think producer Glenn is playing some tricks on me. That clearly seems like she's trying to block traffic again. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe you're allowed to block traffic. Actually, we did try and go see if you're allowed to block traffic and as a form of free expression of ideas and public protest. And we went to the ACLU's website, the American Civil Liberties Union, and got what they've decided are the rules to protesting. And obviously, everybody knows the ACLU is a right-wing MAGA extremist organization that clearly espouses all the beliefs of the president. Well, according to the ACLU's website, this is not necessarily what's on there right now, but let me read something else that's on the website. The First Amendment protects your rights to assemble and express your views through protests. However, police and other government officials are allowed to place certain narrow restrictions on the exercise of free speech. Oh, geez. Shoot. Well, this is a screen grab from the ACLU's website when it talks about how you're supposed to peacefully protest. And it says that, yeah, sometimes you might need a permit, but they're not allowed to deny you permits. But it does say on the ACLU's website, as long as marchers don't obstruct car or pedestrian traffic. Shoot. All right, this is getting real sticky here. The ACLU website also says police may not break up a gathering unless it's clear and a present danger of a riot, disorder, or interference with traffic. Huh. I'm figuring this out real time with all of you folks. It may seem like she was indicted for something that actually is illegal, blocking traffic. In other words, possibly even trying to kidnap federal agents. But there's no way that she only did this twice, because clearly there has to be videos of her just standing on the sidewalk, peacefully expressing her ideas, which is not against the law and is protected under the First Amendment. I have to believe that clip exists. Glenn, can you play cut 2? There's her again in black. Oh,
See, as you can see, the more you around, the more you're going to find out.
she was blocking traffic again. Does she know how to protest like the way the normal people protest? Like the legally protected way that the ACLU says is appropriate way to do? Or does she only know how to block cars? Jeez. Well, considering the ACLU considers that a crime and everybody else with two eyes considers that a crime, what does she think happens to people who commit crimes? What if you're following the orders of somebody else and they're telling you to commit a crime? Have you committed a crime? Well, interestingly enough, producer Glenn found a clip of her weighing in on that very topic. Play cut 5.
It turns out if the advice you're following is commit crime, yeah, that's a crime.
Huh. So if people are advising you to commit crime and then you go ahead and commit that crime, then you in fact are committing a crime. There's a saying, there's an acronym. I'm not even sure what it means. It's a FAFO. And from my cursory understanding of what this acronym means is, well, if you do something that is going to warrant a reaction and then that reaction happens, well, that's just what happens to you. You know, the more we talk about this, the more it feels like not a political prosecution, not political persecution. It feels like somebody who clearly broke the law in order to get attention and Instagram followers is being held accountable for breaking the law. I feel like I've been severely misled, and I hope I didn't mislead you good folks at home who might have been led to believe that this is, like she said initially, just political prosecution and persecution. Unlike what happened to President Trump, which was totally legit and 100% he did all of the things and committed all the crimes that nobody could actually define, but he did them. He did do them. That wasn't political prosecution, but this is. I guess if you're a lib, I don't really know. I'm honestly very confused myself. Interestingly enough, while compiling this increasingly less compelling case of political prosecution, we came across a video that we actually played on the show, or at least had queued up on this show, of this very same lady, Abughazaleh, who was talking about what should happen to Kristi Noem or anybody that participates in enforcing the law. She was talking to Jen Psaki. We don't believe in silent letters on this show. And she said this, interestingly enough. Watch this, cut 6.
I think Kristi Noem should have consequences. I think she should be tried at The Hague. What we are seeing from her operation are crimes against humanity. And if the response from ICE to people exercising their First Amendment right is to drive vehicles through them, is to shoot them, is to put a stationary gun on top of a roof, as we saw today, they shouldn't be allowed to operate.
Okay, what I'm gathering here is this person is insane. What they're saying is that if you're blocking a car, you just get to block the car? That seems crazy. And of course, people are allowed to protect themselves, especially if you're impeding on them doing their job and they happen to work for the federal government. The federal government is only enforcing the laws that Congress has duly agreed upon. But you're not allowed to do that? And if you do that, you should be tried at The Hague, which, by the way, not to throw shade at the people at The Hague, what is that really? Like, what even is that? Oh no, I've committed a crime that the International Court at The Hague has condemned me for. Ooh, scary. But if you're just following the law, I'm not sure how much of an international crime that is. You know, I feel like I've been duped. I feel like I've been misled. The libs all across the internet are claiming that this is political prosecution. And what I think we're finding together is that, well, this person repeatedly broke laws for which there are consequences. And suffering those consequences is not political prosecution. That's just the law. Now, the libs, I know we've sarcastically pointed to President Trump here, did effectively do all of the political prosecution. They charged him with a crime that was past the point of being able to charge him with that quote-unquote crime, and then didn't define the crime. And for some reason now they're saying anything that happens to them that are clear, we have video proof of all them all doing all the crimes. This is all of a sudden political persecution or prosecution? I guess both. Seems odd. Maybe, I think what we're all coming to realize, if we haven't already, is that our lib friends might not have both oars in the water. What's a nicer way to put that? Might not be moored to the tether of reality. Lots of different ways to say that. Maybe mainly being that maybe it is in fact that our lib friends who think this sort of thing and believe this sort of thing are clinically insane. Just a possibility. Not throwing any accusations out there, but maybe Abughazaleh is not actually just an innocent bystander who's being prosecuted for her political beliefs. Maybe she's a criminal who seems to allegedly have broken lots of rules. Huh. Fun fact. Interesting.